So welcome to Drill Down Earnings. We have second quarter results from Shopify. Stock market loves these results. What's not to love? Let's take a look. This is the business story behind one stock on the move. I'm Cory Johnson, the chief market strategist for the Futurum Group. Shopify, a very important company in the world of e-commerce based out of Toronto. And the pandemic really changed the world for them and lots of people, at least those of us who made it through. Wall Street likes a beat or a miss, and this was a beat. But specifically, when we look at these numbers, they were just pretty solid across the board. So they showed continual growth that maybe some wondered if was going to happen. 21% revenue growth is really strong for this business and hasn't really slowed down in a post-pandemic world. Now, a year ago, they took some really big whacks at their business. They got rid of their shipping business, their fulfillment business. They had some big headcount reduction as well, and took a big cut at their operating margins. But those margins have now come back. They're 12% this quarter, 4 straight quarters of margins, and indeed operating margins and margin improvement. When they look at the world, I thought this chart that they used in their investor presentation was so interesting. They see the world really changed during the pandemic. Specifically, business formation jumped during the pandemic and then has stayed at an elevated level. That's 5 million business formations in the US in 21 and 22 and 23. And that there's a level of entrepreneurship that America hasn't seen in a very long time. And Shopify is there to benefit from that, helping people sell stuff. So gross margins really solid, as I mentioned, operating margins also, but gross margins starts with operating margins, and then $1 billion in gross margin with a gross margin percentage 51.1% increasing. And their recurring revenues, the businesses that are sticking with them over time, have grown at a 29% basis over the last 5 years, now hitting $169 million for this business. It looks better and better. Their profits, their gross profits are fantastic now, so much better than they were before the pandemic in 2019. As well as adjusted operating income, again, taking out that shipping business that is gone, as well as some stock comp stuff, whatever. And they're throwing off a lot of free cash flow. 13% free cash flow margins are really, really good. This is a good business that is growing really fast. And gross merchandise value, the total amount of stuff sold on Shopify, is just huge. It's not small retailers anymore. It's a much bigger business than that, with $67.2 billion in the quarter of gross merchandise value. And again, their operating income of almost $300 million in the quarter, very strong. Now, how did the stock react? So the stock, they liked these numbers, and it was up about 18% after the numbers came out. But it's worth noting it's been a terrible year. The stock's only up 15% now for the year, which is to say it was down until these numbers came out for the entire year. This one quarter making up for all that. One of the things that happened in the quarter that was really revelatory to the company was their Shop App Week. I neglected to mention this in my calendar. It didn't show up. But for their merchants, it was a big deal, and it showed them the power of Shopify. For those using the Shop app, they saw terrific growth in the quarter, and indeed a lot of these merchants found that their gross merchandise value had never hit the numbers they did during that week. Here's the CEO Tobi Lutke talking about the effect of the Shop app, the Shop Week.
But Shop app is this incredibly owned first-party channel for merchants, and we know it helps them drive traffic. What was so interesting and neat about the Shop Week was that merchants have been using Shop app for a while, but the fact that 10,000 merchants on their own posted their best GMV week ever on the Shop app allowed us to reintroduce the power of this incredible app and this tool to them as a main channel. So we'll continue to do that. We're unleashing new ways for merchants to engage and to drive these incredible connections. Also, we think that from an advertising perspective, I mean, you mentioned shop campaigns. These are ways that we can also help merchants not only find new buyers, but also increase their the lifetime value, or the sales and the checkout rates they have with those buyers. And so, we're seeing brands like Feastables and Steve Madden and Spanx now who consistently come back to us to do this marketing specifically on the Shop app using Shopcast for their audiences. And those that use it, their GMV grows and they grow their user base. So they keep coming back.
So we'll continue to watch these numbers as Shop app and other tools start to work more and more for Shopify, but clearly things are trending in the right direction. But what's the one number that you want to take away that this quarter told us that no other did? I've got that number for you with a drill down bite right after this.
The Drill Down is brought to you by Futurum Group, where analysts, researchers, advisors, content creators, and marketing experts help business leaders anticipate and understand shifts in their industries and build strategies to leverage disruptive innovation. With deep analysis, Futurum Group's extensive industry experience delivers reliable research and data, thought leadership, and actionable advice to help you with your strategy and go-to-market efforts. Futurum Group.
So Shopify just reporting second quarter earnings. Here's the essential numbers, what you need to know here. 21% revenue growth. If you take away the logistics business, which they got rid of, they actually saw 25% revenue growth in the business that is still there. And their gross profits were fantastic, up 25%. Lots of free cash flow from this business. Revenue growing at 21% overall, as I mentioned. But the drill down bite, the one number that tells us a whole lot, their operating profits, after taking huge cuts at their business last year, restructuring, laying off a lot of people, getting rid of that logistics business, now they're showing 12% operating profits. I think 12% is the number to take away this quarter. Help us understand how much better things are going at Shopify. All right, thanks for listening to Drill Down Earnings. I'm Cory Johnson from the Futurum Group. Drill Down Earnings, part of 6.5 Media. And of course, you can check us out on X at Cory TV, on Instagram and TikTok at Drill Down Pod, and continue to watch these videos on 6.5 Media's page on YouTube. Lots of earnings news, lots of other technology news. We'd love to know what you think.